Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful and the most beneficent. Countless salutations on last Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. So last time we discussed about what we studied last time. Last time. Mutation analysis. Last time we studied about mutation analysis and how we can analyze the mutations through computational means. And today we will discuss about pedigree analysis. Do we have Jonathan Javed, Laiba Khalid with us? Please raise your hands. Okay. Laiba Khalid and Jonathan Javed, please mark the attendance for your classes. And Jonathan Javed, please have a look to the distortion of the voice, slides, and recording everything. Thank you so much. So we are going to start our lecture specifically for pedigree analysis. So first of all, what is pedigree? If anyone has any question, you can raise your hand. And Jonathan Javed, please have a look to the slides, voice, and everything. Thank you so much. So for pedigree analysis, it is specifically used in molecular biology or genetic diseases, inherited diseases. So there will be families usually that has specific diseases that are inherited from parents to the offsprings, and the chain just continues for many generations, or you can say for everyone, for that specific family forever. That specific inherited diseases usually have. So some diseases are recessive, some are dominant, some are X-linked, some are Y-linked. So we will study all this in our this lecture. So we are going to start. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What is pedigrees? First of all, pedigrees are specifically a chart or representation, or a you can say table, not table, a figure that describes the family history, or the number of members of the family, or the diseases specifically, or the traits or variants specifically that family has. The representation of this all information is known as basically pedigrees. Pedigree is a chart that display family relationships and depict which relatives have specific phenotypes and genotypes. A pedigree is a pictorial representation of a family history, essentially a family tree that outlines the inheritance of one or more characteristics that is specifically present in that family. So for representing all these information in one chart, or in one figure, or in one representative picture is known as pedigree. Usually pedigree has the data of molecules that specifically has specific genotypes or phenotypes or traits, or mutations that leads towards any disease. Different types of tests and haplotype analysis, genome-wide association studies information is also incorporated in pedigrees. Pedigrees. A pedigree consists of lines that connect shapes, different shapes connected by different lines, and each shape has a different meaning. And sometimes those shapes are filled with the black color, or sometimes it's empty, sometimes it has some lines. So we will study all in later in this lecture. First we will study what the pedigrees usually have. Usually pedigrees have lines to connect the shapes. They also assigned with numbers, and usually they have Roman numbers and Arabic numbers. And Roman numbers just design and designated to different generations, and Arabic numbers are used to indicate the names and numbers of specific individuals. Pedigrees is not the same as the genealogy in family tree or genogram in social work. So genogram or genealogy is different to pedigree. Please don't mix these concepts. Pedigree, as already studied, that specific representation or pictorial representation of the specific family history involving different genotypes and phenotypes. However, in genogram or genealogy, we just have the family history, you can say, or the sketch of the family. So there is a slight difference between these terms. So what is pedigree analysis? If you have a pedigree and it has different information, obviously, so you have to analyze that on that information, so that pedigree, to retrieve all the information. So a very important tool for studying human inherited diseases. If you don't know how to read a pedigree, you cannot understand what is the information given in that specific chart, or that specific pedigree, represented pedigree of a specific family. So the pedigree diagrams make it easier to visualize relationship within families, particularly large extended families. If a family has more than 10 children, and there is a specific trait or phenotype or genotype, or you can say specific disease that family has, so you cannot understand the information without a pedigree. So if there is 10 members, 10 sons, suppose there is one parent has 10 children, 5 daughters, 5 sons, and then they married, and then their 10 becomes 20. Everyone has two child minimum, those 20 becomes 40, and then those 40 have one child, then 40 becomes into 40. So it will be a large chain, so you cannot understand without a pedigree. So you should know how to read a pedigree. Progressive pedigrees are often used to determine the mode of inheritance, that is, the specific trait or specific phenotype or genotype are dominant or recessive, or this will move to the offsprings if the offspring will be carrier or the affected person, or maybe not the affected person. So all these information we will retrieve from the pedigree. Why do we perform pedigrees, or why do we make pedigrees? Punnett scares and chi-square tests work well for organisms that have large number of offsprings and controlled matings. But humans are quite different. Small families, even large families, human families have 20 or fewer children. Uncontrolled mating often with heterozygotes, failure to truthfully identify the parentage. So we do the pedigrees first of all to analyze the specific trait history of a specific family, to understand the mating, controlled mating and offspring numbers, and the specific trait of that family. It usually studied and analyzed in inherited diseases or in genetic diseases. So individuals may wish to be tested if there why people just have test or go through this procedure and they generate their pedigrees, or they just have a look to their offsprings, that if there is a disease in any family, so the family should go through for a series of tests, and then they just generate their own pedigree, and they will have a look or analyze, or you can say get some data in hand, that how many offsprings they will have affected ones, and how many will be carriers, and how this disease will move to their offspring. So there is a family history of one specific disease, they show symptoms of genetic disorders, or they are concerned about passing on a genetic problem to their children. That's the most important point, that they just want to know how many of their children's or offsprings will be affected, and how many will be the carrier, and what will happen to them in later stages. So that will be the main aim, that people just generate their pedigrees. So we have some basic symbols. First we will understand the symbols, so we can easily understand the pedigree. So please be focused for the for the symbols and the basic concepts of pedigree and inherited diseases. Then if you will understand this uh, if you will understand this all these points effectively, then you can easily analyze the pedigrees. So just in 30 minutes you can understand this, if you will be the focused guy. So first of all, if you have a scare box, simple scare box that is filled with the white color will represent the male that is unaffected, and if you will fill that box with the black color, then it will be the affected male. Similarly, if there is a round or round shape representation with filled with white color. It is a female representing female unaffected, and black color with affected female. And if there is a diamond, it is unknown sex. It doesn't mean that there is no sex that a specific guy has, or gender that specific guy has. It means that you don't know about the sex or the gender of that specific person. Suppose almost 50 years back, if you just move to a family to design a pedigree, once again we have someone that just want to show something. I don't know why. It is very shameful act in actual, and please try to be civilized. Please, it's a request, and it is good for you guys, not for me, because you are representing your families, you are representing your thoughts, and you are representing your uh, ideas. I am not representing here in actual. It's a very shameful act. So what to do, Jonathan Javed and Laiba Khalid? जी Jonathan.
सर डेफिनेटली हमारी क्लास से कभी ऐसा नहीं हुआ, और ये जो एक्टिविटी अभी इसने परफॉर्म की है ना, तो लिहाजा जब मेरी क्लास के बिहाफ पे मैं अपना बोलना चाहूँगा कि हम इनके साथ फिर क्लास ना लिया करें।
जरूर, ऑब्वियसली बेटा ऐसा ही होना चाहिए। हमारे साथ तो कभी ऐसा नहीं हुआ, और देखें ये लेक्चर डिस्टर्ब कर दिया गया।
अच्छा वाला डिस्टर्ब किया है सर।
जी बेटा लाइबा।
यस सर।
बेटा आप लोग, मैं लास्ट टाइम भी कहा था, आप बड़े मेरे लिए मेहमान हैं सारे के सारे, मॉर्निंग वाले तो बड़े रिस्पेक्टफुल मेंबर्स हैं, तो जाने दें गुस्से को, आप अपनी क्लास को समझाएं। देखें लेक्चर डिस्टर्ब कर दिया, एक फ्लो था सारे का सारा। और आप लोग अगर नहीं बेटा, आप में से अगर
सर
आपकी
जी
क्लास की
एक्चुअली मुझे जहाँ तक अपनी क्लास का पता है, मैं इतना ही कहूँगी कि हम वैसे नॉर्मली ना हमारी सुबह में क्लासेस नहीं होती, और दूसरी बात ये है कि अगर
बेटा अगर
मतलब अब
सुबह
हमारी हो
क्लास हो
रही
रही है तो ऐसे हरकतें
नहीं
करते
नहीं
हैं।
सर नहीं, एक मिनट।
जी जी।
हमारी अगर सुबह क्लास हो रही है ना, तो मतलब इतना किसी का मेरी क्लास में इतना कोई एक्टिव माइंड नहीं है कि वो इस तरह फौरन से आके ड्राइंग स्टार्ट कर दे, ये कर दे या वो कर दे। इसके अलावा भी तो हमारी क्लास होती है, वहाँ भी कभी ऐसा नहीं हुआ। उधर भी इवनिंग होती ही है, मतलब कभी-कभी मैम सुल्ताना के साथ, तो वहाँ भी कभी ऐसा नहीं
तो
हुआ।
बेटा ये मैं कर रहा हूँ, फिर जाहिर बात है वो दूसरी क्लास वालों
नहीं,
ने भी
नहीं सर,
निगेट
आप
कर
भी नहीं
दिया।
कर रहे।
वो दूसरी क्लास वालों ने निगेट कर दिया, उनके पास ये बड़ा स्पेसिफिक और सॉलिड पॉइंट है कि जनाब हमारी क्लास में, वाकई उनकी क्लास मेरे साथ ये लेक्चर, मेरे ख्याल ऑलमोस्ट वी हैव 20 और मोर देन 20 लेक्चर्स, और इस तरह का अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह कभी कुछ नहीं हुआ। तो उनके पास तो बड़ा सॉलिड पॉइंट है ना, कि जनाब हमने ना इस तरह कभी किया है, और ना हमारी क्लास में हुआ है, नए बंदे आए हैं तो ऐसा हुआ है। दे हैव सॉलिड पॉइंट। और अमूमन गेस्ट ही लोगों के घरों में आके पर्दे बेटा खींचते हैं, घर वाले नहीं खींचते, उन्हें पता होता है हमारे पैसे लगे हैं।
सर ये बात भी ठीक है, लेकिन अगर मतलब अगर इवनिंग वाले
चलें
नहीं
बेटा
चाहते
छोड़ें
कि
इन
हमारी
बातों को।
क्लास मतलब
नहीं नहीं
उनके
वो
साथ
नहीं
हो,
नहीं
तो
बेटा, आप
फिर
ऐसे मत कहें कि वो नहीं चाहते। उन्होंने ऐसा बिल्कुल कुछ नहीं कहा। उन्होंने ऐसा बिल्कुल भी कुछ नहीं कहा कि हम नहीं चाहते, और दे जस्ट रियली वेलकम यू गाइस, बट व्हाट इज हैपनिंग हियर, इट्स नॉट गुड। I request everyone, and specifically that person, I don't know who he or she is, from which class it is. It is my humble request to behave civilized, represent your families very well. If you want to say something, just be with your name and roll number, and you can say in a good way. Ji Maheen beta. Saida Maheen Abid 9328.
सर मैं यही कहूँगी कि विदाउट एनी प्रूफ हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि हमारी क्लास ने किया या इवनिंग वालों ने किया। जिसने भी किया बहुत बुरी बात है, और उसको चाहिए कि आप एक क्लास ले रहे हो तो आप सिविलाइज तरीके से अपनी क्लास लो, और उसके बाद जब लीव हो जाते बाद में जाके वहाँ पे आपके ना लैपटॉप पे भी पेंटिंग का ऑप्शन होगा, वहाँ पे जाके जितनी मर्जी पेंटिंग करें, हमारी क्लास को डिस्टर्ब ना करें काइंडली।
बेटा हम रिक्वेस्ट ही कर सकते हैं, और इवनिंग वालों ने बिल्कुल भी किसी के ऊपर बेटा इल्जाम तराशी नहीं की, और दे आई जस्ट सेड दैट दे हैव अ स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट एज एन एविडेंस के हमने इतनी क्लासेस ली हैं, ऐसा नहीं हुआ। सो आई रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन, प्लीज बी सिविलाइज्ड, इफ यू वांट टू से समथिंग यू कैन। आप मुझे पर्सनल कॉल कर लो यार, क्यों डिस्टर्ब करते हो लेक्चर्स, पढ़ लेने दो किसी को। आप नहीं पढ़ना चाहते, मोस्ट वेलकम, आप क्लास छोड़ो चले जाओ, बड़ी नवाजिश होगी जनाब की। ठीक है जी बेटा मेमूना, देखिए ना अब हम इतने डिस्टर्ब हुए हैं कि हमारे 10 मिनट भी जाया हो गए हैं। जी मेमूना सहर 9324।
सर मैं कहना चाह रही थी कि जब आप मीटिंग अरेंज करते हैं ना, उसमें सेटिंग में आप जो ये एनोटेशंस हैं इनको डिसेबल कर दिया करें,
तो बेटा ये बात
तो फिर
आपने
वो
पहले
कोई
क्यों
भी
नहीं
ड्रॉ नहीं
बताई?
कर सकता।
जरा मुझे बताएं कहाँ से डिसेबल होती है? डिसेबल पार्टिसिपेंट्स एनोटेशन?
सर ये जब मीटिंग, जी सर, उसमें ये चैट और ये एनोटेशंस हम हर चीज को डिसेबल कर सकते हैं।
थैंक यू सो मच बेटा। आप कहाँ पे थी पहले?
सर मैं इधर ही थी।
अच्छा अच्छा, चलें, थैंक यू सो मच बेटा, ये पहले बताना था हमें, हम लड़ पड़े थे अभी। अगर आप 5 मिनट ना आती तो बेशक हम एक दूसरे के सर फाड़ देते अभी तक, ये किसने हरकत की है। थैंक यू सो मच बेटा, अल्लाह पाक आपको जजा दे। सो आई एम रियली वेरी सॉरी व्हाट हैपेंड एंड आई डोंट नो हु डिड दिस, एंड इट इज माय हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट टू एवरीवन, please behave civilized. You are representing not only yourself, you are representing your class, you are representing your teachers, you are representing your families, you are representing your parents. So if you think that no one knows who is doing this and you are just doing something, so trust me, one day everyone will know, not in this world, if hereafter at the day of judgment, and that day will be the very hard day for you. You have to give your good deeds to all of us who are 38 in this domain. Trust me, trust me, no one will forgive you at that day, because at that day everyone needs the good deeds. And if you have some, because of your ex, I can imagine how many good deeds you can have. So if you have some, you have to give to others, and we are 38 here, and if we will take one each, we will take 38 of your good deeds in a very moment. So please don't do this in your life, please behave civilized, you are very good guys, and this is not good acts, because you are representing a specific group of people, you are representing your families, and if I will make the pedigree of that specific person, I will mark your behavior as a bad behavior, trust me. So now we are back. Please Jonathan Javed, let me know you are my slides are shown there or not, please. Jonathan Javed जी बेटा, स्लाइड्स नजर आ रही हैं?
जी सर आ रहे।
ओके, कौन सी स्लाइड है जी?
बेसिक
बेसिक सिंबल्स, ओके, थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू बेटा। Jonathan Javed, please have an eye on slides and the voice and the recording and other things. अब देखो बेटा, 10 मिनट तो हमारे जो जाया होने थे वो हो गए, और 10 मिनट में ये बात भी रिकॉर्ड हो गई कि किसी एक शख्स ने ये हरकत की है, और कल को आप सब जो लोग हो किसी ना किसी अच्छी पोस्ट पे बैठे हो, अल्लाह करे इंशाल्लाह ताला, और आप बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हो, और एक शख्स आए, एक और अननोन शख्स आए, और वो ये वीडियो निकाल के आपको दिखाए कि आज से 20 साल पहले या 10 साल पहले या 30 साल पहले आपके टीचर्स ने आपके बारे में ये कहा था, आप क्लास में अनसिविलाइज्ड हरकत करते थे, आज आप डीन, प्रोफेसर, चेयरमैन, या किसी इंडस्ट्री के सीईओ, किसी अच्छे बिजनेसमैन, एक अच्छा इंजीनियर, कुछ भी बनकर बैठे हुए हो, लेकिन आप 10 साल पहले ऐसे थे, अनसिविलाइज्ड, आपको इतनी तमीज नहीं थी, तो क्या रह जाएगी आपकी इज्जत उस मोमेंट पर जब आप एक चेयर पे बैठे हुए, क्योंकि उनके पास एविडेंस नहीं होगा किसने किया, लेकिन वो इन तमाम 38 को रगड़ देंगे। सो प्लीज जिंदगी में इस तरह की बिलो द लाइन हरकतें मत किया करें कि आप शर्मिंदा हो, और ट्रस्ट मी, एक दिन पता चल जाएगा कि ये किसने हरकत की है और बाकी लोग उसको शर्मिंदा करेंगे। सो वी आर बैक। ये चीजें भी साथ साथ इम्पोर्टेंट होती हैं आप लोगों को सिखाने के लिए कि थोड़ी एथिक्स भी सीख लें। So we were discussing about pedigree and what is pedigree, how to annotate pedigree, not annotate, annotate word from Memuna Sahar, thanks to her. How to analyze the pedigree, and we were discussing about, okay, we will go back to one or two slides so we can have a flow in our data. So why do we do pedigrees? After that, who which individuals just try to generate their pedigrees? They are concerned about passing a genetic problem to their children, and they want to know what will happen to their offsprings. After that, there are some basic symbols. First we discuss about the box, that is a square box. Then we have a round circle. Then there is a diamond, that is for unknown gender or unknown sex. It doesn't mean that that specific individual don't have any gender or a sex. They in actual representing that almost you are going to a family and you just want to generate the pedigree of that specific family, and the family member, the guy is of maybe 60 years old, and he said that we were five brothers and sisters, and my parents told me that one of our sibling just died when it was 10 years old or maybe 2 years old, and I don't know the gender or the sex he has. He was male or she was a female. So that time you just may mark a diamond there, that there was a child, there was an offspring, but you don't know the or you could not find the specific gender or the specific you can say the exact gender of that offspring. And if the someone is died, it is if it is a male, then you just mark a line, a straight line, tilde straight line on the box of on a square box, or if you, there is a dead female, so then you can make a round and just mark a straight line on it. So you can have a discrimination, you can see a discrimination here, that in dead they just represent with the female, not with the male. Males can also die, not only females. So now you can imagine how males generate the lectures. They just want that females should die. That was in actual a joke. So after that we will have basic symbols once more, that if we have a simple line, that is a straight vertical line, then it will represent the generation, and this line that from left to right, it will represents the partners. The dotted line will represent the adoptions, if there is an adopted sibling or adopted son or child. And if there is it will be representing with the same node, that will be the siblings. If there will be this type of triangle, it will represent the identical twins, the twins have same faces. And if there will be no triangle, just this type of, you can say, pyramid without the last line, it will be frontal twins that don't have same face, however they are twins born at the same time. And if there will be double line, that will be parents closely related by blood. And then we have former relationship that breaks with the two lines, and the arrow that will represent person who prompt pedigree analysis proband. After that we have this one as a mating, that the married guy, this is a boy and this is a girl, and this line represents the marriage or the mating between these two persons. And consanguineous marriages or consanguineous mating with these two lines, that is as we just have a look here, that two lines represent the closely related blood, that you and it is known as cousin marriages in Pakistan or in other countries. There is so many cousin marriages, and if there is a cousin marriage, you will represent it by these two lines. After that, offspring and arrow pointing to the proband. Then we have another colored symbol with normal male, female, and half. If there it is half filled, then the female or male who carries an allele for the trait but does not express it, it is the carrier. Sometimes there is a dot in between, like there is a circle and there is a dot, and there is a box and there is a dot, that also represents the carrier. After that, dead one, section is unspecified, stillbirth. If there will be small line, not the large one, for the dead, and there will be a written SB downside that box. It is a stillbirth. Stillbirth means that the boy or the girl born dead. There was no life when it was born, and it's a sad news for the parents usually. And if the box has a P, that means there is a pregnancy to that specific person. Then we have please don't confuse that why the box has P, how a male has a pregnancy. It means that this specific parent has the pregnancy. Then there is a triangle, that is spontaneous abortion or miscarriage if it is like this way. And if there will be a line here, then it is a terminated pregnancy or shade if abnormal. And sometimes females has problem with the pregnancy, and this just prolong to the family as a disease. So at that time you have to represent by this one. Colored or shaded shapes indicate individuals who express a trait, and half-filled shapes as are known carriers. A genetic counselor may sketch a pedigree while interviewing a client, then use a computer program and add test results that indicate the genotypes. First of all, you will gather the data by interviewing the specific family or the members of the family, and then you will just generate the pedigree by using these boxes. So we have another some basic concepts. What is allele? Alternative form of a gene is known as allele. One from each parent, one allele from each parent just moves down to the offspring. And genotype is the genetic makeup, and we represent the genotype with the large X or small x. Here I represent it with large X or small x. You can also represent with any other, but there should be a differentiation of capital and small. And in phenotype is observable trait, that is known as phenotype. Is there is any genetic change or genetic alteration, that will be known as genotype. And if there will be any observable change or measurable change, that will be a phenotype. So homozygous and heterozygous. In homozygous, the both of the allele will be the, or both of the traits will be same, like capital X or two capital X or two small x. However, in heterozygous there will be one capital and one small one. So in which we will have to study about which one is the dominant one and which one is the recessive one and all this. So why we study human genetics? You cannot make humans of different types on breeds together. So you should have to make the pedigree of a specific family. You cannot mix the different families in one pedigree. So you should be very careful about that. Pedigree chart offers an ethical way of studying human genetics. Today, genetic engineering has new tools to offer doctors studying genetic diseases. A genetic counselor will still use pedigree charts to help to determine the distribution of a disease in an affected family, and give a sketch to the parents or the offsprings that who will be the carrier, and who will be the diseased person and infected person. After that, we have different categories of inheritance, in which we have autosomal means inherited on chromosome number 1 to 22. However, sex linked means inherited on either X or Y chromosomes. As you guys know that we have 46 chromosomes, and human has 46 chromosomes and 23 pairs of chromosomes, in which 22 pairs of chromosomes or 44 chromosomes are autosomal or somatic mutations we have in that we studied in our last lectures, and one pair of chromosome are the sex chromosomes that are X and Y. If there is son, then there will be Y chromosome, and if there will be a daughter, then there will be an X chromosome. Female has two X and male has one X and one Y chromosome. So after mating, female just transfer its one X chromosome to the offspring, and as you know, female has two X chromosomes, so one X will just move down no matter which X it is. So the you can say gender depends on the male. If male just transfer its X to the offspring, that will be the daughter, and if the male just transfer Y to the offspring, then there will be a male. So the gender depends on the male, not on the female. So we have running of time in this lecture. We will continue from here in our next lecture shortly. Thank you so much everyone for joining.